Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you all to the webinar hosted by the African Training Institute. And we greet you live from Pretoria, South Africa. I see we still have some people still coming in the room. In the meantime, we just want to take this opportunity just to have some few people indicate where you are. Just greet us and indicate where you are listening from. We'll be glad to see where you're listening from. So you can just type and greet where you're listening from. Please also type if you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me loud and clear, if you can see me as well. To our audience, please just type in the screen. We're glad to have listeners from Ethiopia, Burundi, Angola, Portugal, Mozambique, attending from Portugal, Botswana, welcome you all, Zimbabwe. The list goes on and on and on. Maseru, Cameroon, Zambia, Mauritius, Nigeria, Sierra Leone. All right, thank you. Once again, you are welcome. Let me just start by introducing myself. Before we get into our presentation, I'm going to just give you a brief overview of the institution that is hosting this webinar, which is the African Training Institute. I'll introduce myself, then I'll introduce the co-host, who is whom you can see there. So this is my full name, Privilege Karkai Madovi. I'm the Managing Director of the African Training Institute. I trust you can hear me clearly. Please just indicate in the chat box if you can hear me loud and clear. And with me here is Mr. Tafaz Ndamba, who is the co-host. Mr. Ndamba, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello. How's everyone?
Thank you. All right, so we can just get started now. All right, so that's my full name. Just our presenters for the day, your presenters rather, we are the presenters. That's myself, PG Madoi, and Tafaz Ndamba. So you know more about the topics just in due course. So myself, just a brief profile. I'm a service-oriented person, a certified principal business advisor by the Institute of Business Advisors, Southern Africa. I've been working in the service industry for almost the rest of my life. As far as my studies are concerned, that's what you see on the screen. Then now I'll move on just to share a little bit about the institution that is hosting this webinar. African Training Institute is based in South Africa, and we're into capacity building. We do training and development, in-house training, research, among other capacity building activities. We have a clientele across Africa dealing with governments, NGOs, parastatals, among other organizations, private as well. So we host here among other countries as well. And these are our regulatory bodies, the Southern African Association for the Conferencing Industry, and we have our local quality regulator, the second SACI you see there with a Q, and the last two, those are under the Ministry of Higher Education and Training here in South Africa. So we conform to their standards as far as hosting our programs is concerned. All right, I'll move on. Today's topics, this is how we're going to learn in this webinar, which you are going to be looking at starting, running, and sustaining a small business. I strongly believe in this platform we have some entrepreneurs, and almost every working person is an entrepreneur. You may be going to work, but you are also maybe selling something. That's the entrepreneur mind that we have. We're fully fledged business people who are entrepreneurs. We also have other entrepreneurs. Yes, they wake up and go to work, but they are having a vegetable garden, which they are selling their vegetables. Some are processing peanut butter, whichever work you are doing, that makes you an entrepreneur. So we're just going to be sharing tips on how to do better as far as running that business is concerned. If you have not started, we're also going to be sharing some tips on how to start. So the arrangement of our topics, just in a few minutes, I'll be handing over to Tafatwa, who will bring his first topic, strategic planning for entrepreneurial projects from a financial perspective. Then I'll be coming in from a general perspective, a little bit of sales and marketing, just to share how we can sustain the business from that perspective. Then thereafter, Ndamba is going to come back again, sharing from the financial perspective. So we're going to look at all the generic aspects. That's where I'll be. Then you'll be mostly coming from the financial perspective as far as running your business. It's all to do with the numbers. Remember, it's a game of numbers, making money and the like. So that will be his basis. And my basis will just be from general tips and sales and marketing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all. Please sit back, relax, listen. I trust you'll be learning a lot. And once again, from all the different countries I've mentioned, if I've missed yours, please pardon me. But I'm glad to see some familiar names, some old friends. I'm glad to see some guys whom I've hosted in Dubai, there from Burundi, Zambia, Ethiopia, all those. Once again, we are glad to have you. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be together for the next plus or minus 1 hour, 45 minutes, which I believe you learn a lot. So now I will hand over to Tafazo.
Okay, thank you very much, Privilege.
Most welcome.
Okay, let me just start my presentation quickly. Okay, so yeah, like I've been introduced, my name is Tafazo Ndamba. I am a business growth facilitator, and I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm currently working on 2 projects that I'm going to be sharing with you. I've structured this webinar in such a way that is going to be as practical as possible. I have also structured it in such a way that is going to be as generic as possible to cater for the different kinds of entrepreneurial projects that you might want to embark on. But by training, I'm an accountant, and like as you can see there, my highest qualification is a master's in applied accounting. So I think the best starting point would be to explain the fact that research generally shows that projects that have a plan are likely to be more successful than projects in which there is no planning at all. Some people are of the belief that if you are running a project by yourself, you do not have to put in a business plan, or you do not have to have a strategic plan of sorts. They are of the belief that their vision is in their minds, and they can execute their vision based on what they know. But research points to the contrary. Research points to the fact that if you write your plans down, you are most likely going to be referring to them continuously. And if you then need to share your ideas and you're thinking to people that you are going to be partnering with, then they are more likely to understand what you're going to do. But over and above that, it is critical to have a business plan or a strategic plan of sorts, because you need to then measure your performance on the basis of the objectives that you would have set for yourself. So that is what we are going to be looking at. That is the general theme that I'll be looking at as I do this presentation. So this is a project that was thought of due to this COVID-19 and the lockdowns and whatnot. And you realize that most businesses tended to go the delivery route. So this is the latest of my entrepreneurial portfolio. The company is called Delivery Logistica, and it looks at a delivery model, a strategic plan about a delivery business. But from time to time, as I explain how I came up with the model and how we put it into operation, I'll be referring to other projects so that the presentation can be as generic as possible. Right. So in this business, what we sought to do was to use a telephone and a WhatsApp platform, like I've tried to illustrate there. A telephone and a WhatsApp platform where there would be what we termed a command center, and people would put in orders by telephone or by WhatsApp or by text message to different shops within a 5-kilometer radius. Now, we acquired motorcycles, 3 of them, that would then deliver the goods from the shop to the eventual customer. Now, if you go through that model, it speaks to what needed to be looked at so that there can be efficiency in terms of the products that are being delivered, and there can be effectiveness in terms of the correct order being delivered to the correct customer. So this is the beginning point. We've termed this the target operating model. So as you engage in any project, you would want to see a schematic diagram like the one that I've put for you there, which sort of in a nutshell describes how the business is going to be operationalized, to give you an overall idea of how you are going to deliver on the products. Such a model, such a depiction is good because then if there are any flaws, you can quickly pick them up at a theoretical level as it is, so that when you then start executing on the model, you can then be modifying it on paper and in practice, as it were. Right? Just like with any business plan, you need a mission, you need a vision, you need a purpose. Nowadays, there's a lot of academic debate about what's more relevant, a vision or a purpose. I am of the school of thought that a purpose is more important because it goes even further to describe your purpose for life. Some people try and see their purpose for life through the endeavors, entrepreneurial endeavors that they do. So that becomes the mission, vision, and purpose for which we came up with for this particular project. I'm just going to read out the purpose: to offer a personalized delivery solution customized to small communities. We wanted to make sure that we are in touch with small communities as opposed to the other operators I don't know in the different geographies what kind of operators you are having, but in South Africa, we've got Uber Eats, we've got Mr. Delivery, and so on. So those are not personalized services. They are very generic, and we wanted to come up with a niche that sort of differs from that. Right. I also forgot to mention that the presentation is based on a generic model or a generic template that can be customized to whatever entrepreneurial project that you are going to come up with. I'm going to try and share that generic model with you, and maybe in the comments you can try and relate to me if you are receiving the template. The template has got information that is similar to the information that I'm sharing with you on the slides, only that it is a Word document, and you can then be replacing the various headings that you find in that template with what you'd actually like to be doing in your project. So more or less, the very purpose of my presentation is to present the template in a way that I did in coming up with this delivery business, but you can always customize it to what you want to be doing. Do we have any successes in getting that? I think Privilege will tell me if there are any comments coming in as to whether people are succeeding in getting the template or not. Right? So further to the purpose that you have for the entrepreneurial project that you want to embark on, you need to have core values that speak to that purpose. My first core value is that of Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese concept of continuous improvement, and in any entrepreneurial project, there is a need to continuously improve in two aspects. The first one is the processes that you've put in place to achieve the business that you're trying to put in place. So this can be marketing processes, they can be production processes. If you want to get in the business of producing chickens, so there should be processes to do with the chicken production, health, and so on. So the concept of Kaizen is a good core value to have, because there is always a need to be continuously improving on your offering and the processes that deliver that offering. Grit is another value that is very dear to me. Grit is the perception that we are in this for the long haul. Many entrepreneurs make the mistake of getting into business as a deal, if I can say that. An entrepreneurial project or an entrepreneurial business is different from what the young ones call a hustle these days. It's not a one-time deal. It's more of a marathon as compared to a sprint. You will see when we cover other aspects like implementation of these projects using tools such as the balanced scorecard, that you need a long-term perspective. That's why when I was asked to give this webinar, I chose dealing with a strategic angle to entrepreneurship as opposed to just a business angle. A grit underscores the fact that we're going to be in this for the long haul. Customer-centeredness is an obvious one. Privilege is going to elaborate on that. I think every entrepreneurial project will need to be customer-centered. Another very important core value that I hold dear is the one of agility. Okay, is the one of agility. Agility and Kaizen sort of work hand in hand. agility is the ability to quickly adapt and quickly use feedback that you are getting from your customers in order to adapt your offering to meet their ever-changing needs. We're going to talk a little bit more of agility as a concept, but that's very important. As I'm in this training room at ATI, I can actually see that there's a suggestion box. If ATI uses the concept of agility, then it means that on a daily basis, they will be opening these suggestion boxes and immediately putting into practice what the feedback thereof will be coming from. And then another core value that I hold dearly is that of working in teams. I cannot underscore the importance of a diversity of skills in a project. You will see as we proceed with the case study that we are a team of 4, and our strengths differ. I'm more on the financial side, but you'll find that there's somebody on business development. There's also somebody on administration and all that. So it is a good value to be holding. But whatever values that you are going to include in your business plan and your strategic plan should hold true of the true values that you have or that you envisage for the project that you want to undertake. And the values should also speak to the purpose for which you are establishing the project. All right. On any business plan, you want to talk a little bit about the current environment in which the project finds itself. When it comes to this particular project, like I've alluded to earlier on, we're in an environment where the big main players are Uber. In many countries, there is Uber, but in some countries, there's Uber. The concept is the same. That's the current environment. Mr. D, I might need to be corrected, but I'm sure it exclusively operates within South Africa. Same concept. It's an app that you load on your phone, and the businesses like ShopRite and Spar and whatever big grocery stores that you have, they also load themselves onto this app, and a customer sitting at home can place grocery orders or takeaway orders on this app, and then you find motorbikes coming to deliver at the house. This is the current environment in which we are operating. It is important to understand the environment in which we operate, because you might also want to figure out what strengths and what weaknesses you have, and that information quickly emanates from the environment from which you are operating from. Right? So I've spoken about strengths, I've spoken about weaknesses, I haven't spoken about opportunities and strength. So there's strengths, there's weaknesses, there's threats, there's opportunities. Those usually emanate from, like I've said, the current environment in which you are operating. You see that slide is blank because the weaknesses and strengths and opportunities will differ in every project that is encountered. The customer value proposition becomes exactly how you are going to bring value to the potential customer that you want to target. In our case, our value proposition revolves around providing a personalized service, providing an efficient service, quick delivery times of about 30 minutes, and so on. But you find that in whatever project that you want to engage in, you want to propose a value to a customer that is really going to make life for that customer quite easy. Right? Strategic priorities are very important towards the end of this first segment, we are going to talk about strategic initiatives. These are how the projects are actually going to be implemented. So you will find that the strategic initiatives are derived from the strategic priorities that you have. In our case, our strategic priorities was to have an efficient and an effective delivery system that ensures that correct orders are delivered and are delivered to the correct address. We strive on process optimization, a concept that finds its roots in agile management, as I have explained it, and the concept of Kaizen, continuously improving. And we also believe in organic growth, that we are going to start small, serving the community that is directly around us, and using the efficiencies that we find in what we are doing locally, and trying to replicate those efficiencies to the different geographical spaces that we'll be growing into. Different projects will obviously have different strategic priorities depending on what you're trying to do. And it is important for you to know what you want to do so that you can be able to know what kind of business to take on and what kind of business to reject. Many beginning entrepreneurs face a problem of wanting to do everything. And as the saying goes, jack of all trades is a master of none. So strategic priorities will help you to focus on the niche or the target market that you want to deal with, because then you cannot deal with everything, right? So the strategic initiatives will naturally lead themselves into the kind of strategic direction that you want to pursue. Our strategic direction was to start with a small model, a prototype model for 3 to 6 months, which is another golden tip that I would like to give to you right away. Many people make the mistake of working their entire lives in the civil service.
Mr. Ramba, may I just interrupt you?
Yes.
I'm just seeing some few comments that some people are not able to hear us.
Okay.
May I just confirm maybe in the chat box, if the audience, are you still with us? Can you hear us loud and clear, or it's only those few people? Please just respond in the chat box if you can hear us clearly. I've seen like 3 chats saying I cannot hear anything. Okay, while we wait for the chats, I'll ask you to continue while I'm observing the chats. And Matume, we have our background moderator as well. Mr. Matume Manamela, may you observe the chats as well? And let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. Over to you, Chafa.
Okay. So
thank you. We see loud and clear. So I think the few people who are not able to hear us, please kindly check your connection. Sorry about that. Please, you may continue.
Okay. Okay. I was now talking about strategic priorities as giving focus to the kind of projects that you'd want to do. And I was saying that naturally leads itself into a kind of a strategic direction that you want to follow. And I was saying that strategic direction that we chose to go with is to build a small model of the business, a prototype model of the business, of the model using residentials that are within our vicinity. And I was just going to explain that many people make the mistake of working their entire life, be it in the public or the private sectors, and get a pension. And after having gotten their pension, they start learning an entrepreneurial project for the first time there. And they overinvest in a project, and more often than not, they lose their pension worth of money because they've gone in too big too quickly. So a more rational way of going around it is to start small, and having started small, grow the business using the lessons that you are deriving from the business, because there are bound to be mistakes when you start with these entrepreneurial projects. There are bound to be mistakes, and some of the mistakes can be quite costly. So what we did in order to mitigate against that risk was to start with a small project, with one motorbike, and then taking lessons from there, using the concepts of Kaizen and agility, and improving the model as we get to onboard more businesses onto the platform, but also as we get to put on more motorbikes onto the platform. All right, having said that, and then we get to the crux of the matter. You need to have objectives, and your objectives should be smart. I'm sure you've come across smart objectives. They should be measurable, they should be achievable, they should be time-bound, and so on. My main emphasis is going to be on the measurability of these objectives. I think that is the core of my delivery on this webinar. Measurability. You need to be able to set yourself business objectives that have got a target, and you need a mechanism of measuring actual performance against the target that you have put for yourself. And then I think as early as now, I can talk about aspects of what we'll be talking about in the second session of my presentation, which is the balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard is a world-renowned tool of, firstly, planning or coming up with business objectives, and secondly, assessing and measuring your achievement towards those business objectives. So as you are coming up with the business objectives, already they should be rooted or founded in the balanced scorecard. Now, the balanced scorecard has got 4 perspectives. In other words, they've got 4 categories of objectives that you should have. As a guideline, you should not have more than 5 objectives under each perspective. The first perspective is financial, which is the reason why you are entering into the entrepreneurial project in the first place. So you'll find that the way that this template that I'm sharing with you has been designed is in such a way that there is the objectives, the first one there.
May I interrupt there?
Okay.
Regarding the template that has been shared, I understand from your end, the audience, if you look at the document on the bottom right of the screen, then you can be able to download that document so that you may refer to it when he's presenting. So whichever document that you share in due course, you see it to show at the bottom right of your screen. I've seen in the chat box, some have already indicated that they managed to download it. If you have not done so, please proceed to download it. Thank you. You may proceed. You're watching your time as well, Tafazo.
Okay, okay.
You already surpassed the time for the first slot.
Okay. Let me wind up in 5 minutes. So you find that the business objective for this particular one is to increase profits, and then we include the measurability criteria there, and the owner and the owner of the person who's accountable for achieving those measures. So you'll find that the next set of slides until the end is actually the different objectives that speak to the balanced scorecard. So this is the second objectives under financial, having a strong financial control, and then we move on to the third objectives, which is now the customer perspective. And then this is an increase in customer retention, the number of customers that keep coming back. I'm sure Privilege will touch on that in his presentation. And then we have outstanding customer service also under the customer's perspective. And then the next perspective is the processes, internal processes, under which our objectives there is to maximize on agile management, creativity, and innovation, and everything should be measured and explained. Also under that objective is development and implementation of a growth strategy. That's internal perspective. The last perspective is called learning and growth, and under that perspective we have training workshops, and we have one training every quarter for agile management, for creativity, and so forth. So in a nutshell, I will continue speaking about this when we get to the balanced scorecard itself, but within the business plan, we need to come up with business objectives that speak to the balanced scorecard, so that we can have a possibility to measure. We can have something that we can have objectives that we can measure in terms of the targets and in terms of the actuals. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'm going to bring in Privilege again, and then when we come back, I'll further explain the initiatives, and I'll explain them together with the use of the balanced scorecard and how to come up with management accounting reports or management accounting data that also speak to the balanced scorecard, but speaks to the financial, the pricing of your products, and so on and so on. Okay, Privilege.
All right, thank you, Tafazo, for that eye-opening presentation. What we've done, you have seen where you came from, more from the inside. We just set up this presentation more of like a thriller movie. You see how they take you mostly to the action part of things, then later bring you back to start, just to intrigue you to watch the movie. So now we're getting to the basics. I'm going to bring in a presentation on the basics. As an entrepreneur, where do you start from? What do you do? Which is what I had indicated already earlier on when I started. All right, let me just locate my slides here. All right, so basically we have indicated that sustaining a small business, that's the golden tips. I've already introduced myself. I'll just move on to the starting point. All right. We aspire to be entrepreneurs, and I believe, as I indicated, that almost everyone who is in the workspace is an entrepreneur. Normally, after tasting money, as they say, it's sweet, you'd want to get a little bit more of it, more than the salary. If you are not salaried already, an entrepreneur, more and more will always be needed, from thousands, millions, billionaire, going on like that. So the issue here is we are looking at the starting point and some key factors to succeed, right? Are you passionate about what you're doing? Do you have the perseverance when you get into it? It's not going to be all rosy. I always get intrigued by some comments, what can I say, memes or whatever that goes around social media. That's if you're an employee, you earn 12 times a year, right? If you are the boss, they don't mention, because the assumption is that if you are the boss, you earn every day. That's not reality. There is no boss that earns every day. But the way it is put across is just to motivate entrepreneurship on the basis that an employee you get paid 12 times a year. But that does not mean the boss is paid 365 times a year. No, that's not reality. And in there, the motivation does not go into detail. I'm talking of the perseverance side of things. The challenges that are in there, the sleepless nights, the 18 hours flight travel for business meetings, whatever, all those, the challenges, and missing from home. At some point, there was a time I went home and my kid said, Daddy, good morning, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? I had not traveled, I was at home, but I had missed seeing them for about 3 days or so. I leave when they are asleep, come back, they are already in bed, right? So those are some of the things that you face and that you need perseverance. But as we go on, we'll be discussing how best can we counter that. So the perseverance, the resilience is not going to be all rosy, but we still have to find means of how to navigate through. Proactiveness, yes, there will be challenges. Some can easily be foreseen prior to their occurrence. They say it costs more to be proactive. It costs more to be reactive rather than to be proactive. If you prevent problems prior to their occurrence, you find you spend less in the preventative measures rather than being reactive. You spend more in mitigating. So from there, the right attitude. In the event you are in the business, the challenges, how do you approach them? And you have several factors of production that you are going to deal with. And by the way, on the factors of production, they say human resources is the most challenging factor of production, right? As they may say, money is the root of all evil, this and that. As a factor of production, they actually say it's easier to handle money as compared to human resources, which are the people, right? I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm just looking at my chat box. I'm always looking at it so that I don't go solo. Tafazo, are you with me there?
Yes, 100%.
All right, thank you. I trust I also see my audience. Okay, thank you, old friend, for recognizing me there. I see some chat time here. It's from Cecilia. Thank you. I'll continue now. Right, let's look at the golden tips. Right? I mentioned the human resources, right? The right people and treat them right. We need the right people and we have to treat them right. I said as an entrepreneur, like on this platform, I've seen some two people whom I know who are running, like one of them, about 4 types of businesses. And there are other small entrepreneurs, maybe who are just running, maybe you have your backyard poultry with 10 chickens. You are an entrepreneur. You are the same as that guy who is running his 4 businesses. So we're going to look at that. I'm sure each and everyone will get his or her share. You may be having that one guy who is manning the chickens, right? You have that guy who is selling your peanuts by the market, right? Does he has the skill, the qualification, the experience, and commitment is the greatest of them all, right? That person must be organized so that you are not always daily managing the individual. Remember, you have other businesses to run, you have some work to do, you have other areas of life that needs to be attended to. So this is very important to get the right people and treat them well. In return, that will also foster commitment. All right, I will proceed. Serve quality. You be in the service industry, you be offering a tangible product, it always attracts other customers. A good product, they say it sells itself, right? So be quality conscious, then the product will self-market. In a service industry, as I indicated, that I emanate from one of the most sensitive industries. as far as service is concerned, to such an extent that I'm very sensitive when it comes to bad or a poor quality service, if I may say. Right? I am a person who is quick to complain because I'm so service oriented, and I came from the hospitality industry, which is one of the service sensitive industry. And I always argue with the banking people. They say they offer the best service in the industry, but I dispute that. If you go to the bank, you may walk into a bank, you queue, right? You never find a queue to check in at a hotel. You sit down in a lounge and you'll be offered free drinks. And when they are done, they'll come and ask you to come for service. In the bank, you can even join a wrong queue and only be told after that, no, you're in a wrong queue after spending 15, 20 minutes. Right? In the hospitality industry, we would say after we are done with the next person. While in the banking industry, they say next, us would say, how may we help you to the next person? So quality is very important as far as your product or your service is concerned. Yes, you may spend less in developing a product or a service, but in the end, your quality is poor. Don't try to cut costs, right? By the time you cut costs, yes, you need to cut costs to make a better profit, but cut costs in a way that will not compromise the quality of the product that you are delivering. All right, I'll move on. Right, the challenge, like normally when starting the business, right? Well, just like Tafazo, I'm an entrepreneur in about 3 lines of business. And in my first year as an entrepreneur, I made a mistake, and I'm going to talk about the mistakes, right? I enjoyed my profits prior to paying tax, right? That was a mistake that I made, and I learned from it, right? We'll bring that at a later stage, right? The most challenge, especially with young entrepreneurs, one son of the soil, our own African successful brother, Aliko Dangote, said the problem with the young people, they want to wake up and start a business today. Then tomorrow they are like me, right? We cannot start today, then tomorrow we are all like the Dangotes. There are steps that you have to follow, and there is that resilience, perseverance, the attitude, the passion that has to be in it. So we say you don't borrow from business future profits. To say, okay, according to my projections, I'm going to make 4 million. So this is my time to buy that Range Rover, which I always wanted, right? That's a big mistake. You have not yet realized those profits. While it's looking so positive, January, February, March, COVID, up to now, and those expected profits, you have not realized them, but you have already borrowed from those future profits. It's always wise not to do that because there are always unforeseen challenges like the current situation. Nobody ever dreamed nor forecasted that such would happen. No business analyst or those econometric guys, forecasters, nor our own African prophets who managed to forecast that there will be such. So we have to be careful. So no need to be flashy. Do it for yourself, right? I love property, which is one of the areas that I'm in, right? In property, it's so unfortunate that if you want to flash, there is no way you can move around carrying your properties in your head. Nobody will know that you have or you own properties. You cannot be able to flash. So if you want to flash, you can buy that 20 million, whatever Lamborghini, whichever vehicle, then you can flash all around, right? But in the long run, have you done an investment, right? So I'm talking of living within your means, rather than to take that loan and invest on something that can generate income. As an entrepreneur, remember the multiplier effect is very important. Yes, it's good. You may need to flash and show off for your ego, but there can be a time for that, not when you are just starting a business. Otherwise, you drown, you sink in debt, then the rest will be history. All right, I'll move on. I trust I'm still with you. You can hear me loud and clear, Tafazo?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I will proceed. Then in business, in every business, decision-making is very important, right? Make wise financial decisions. If you are to borrow money, right, let it be for a good cause. Don't spend what you don't have. Spend wisely, right? Borrowing for a better meal is not a wise decision. I said borrowing for a better meal. I did not say borrowing for a meal. That means you can afford a meal, but you want to have a better meal. Why not invest to get a better meal in future? Right? Meaning that in the current period, you're actually consuming what is regarded maybe as a cheaper meal, but in the long run, you get a better meal. So stay informed for quality decisions. There is always continuous improvement. We have programs like the ones that we're dealing with here. It helps you just improve on decision making. Enroll for those programs, right? Consult business experts. You have friends who are already in business. Why not engage them over coffee, right? In South Africa, we have a braai culture. We always have a braai when we want to tap into some business gurus like Tafazo I have here. So it's very important because we tend to share ideas that will help us to make better informed decisions. All right, I will proceed. I mentioned this earlier on. If you want to succeed in business, never mess with the taxman. The taxman is one guy who can smartly, easily, and smoothly sink your business. It's wise to remain compliant. Nobody loves tax. We all hate tax, especially considering that we know how most of our tax is being used, right? For it enriches mostly the fewer people, right? The rich and the light through corruption. But the intention is tax is supposed to be making life easier for us through development of infrastructure and the like, right? So the fact that maybe there is that one corrupt politician or a 10 or a 15 does not make you have excuses for not paying tax. The taxman remains the taxman. He has a mandate that they have to work on. So in the long run, in the event that you try that, you incur penalties, which is what I did from my first experience that time. So that means eventually what was supposed to be your tax, to be your profit rather, is now going to tax. And you pay penalties, and there are interests apart from the penalties. It depends on the tax law of a particular country, varies from one country to the other. And eventually, in the event that you are unable to pay penalties, interests, they will come and auction your business. They may auction even your personal properties in the event that the business is not covering enough. And they may end up auctioning your clothes in the event that it comes tough. So please remember, we only book for that holiday after paying tax. And I would advise you book for that holiday after investing part of that profit. Then the remainder, you can take him or her or them for holiday. All right, let me move on, right? As the old adage says, experience is the greatest teacher. And for sure, that's the greatest teacher. I always quote a guy by the name Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure you are all familiar with the American-Japanese guy, mostly in property. When he is asked in most times about a particular decision, he does not give a straight answer. If he's against the decision, let's say, for example, you ask him, is it wise to buy upmarket property and sell it, or is it wise maybe to go to auctions to buy properties? If he is against it, he says only idiots do that. and he'll be done. That's his response, right? He says that mostly from the mistakes that he made himself. So basically saying only a fool makes the same mistake twice, right? Yes, mistakes happen. Most of those guys here, they talk about losses. Tafadzwa here was even telling me about the losses he made in the very same presentation he did of the delivery business that he gave as a case study. And he lost money. I've lost money. I'm sure here and there, some of the people in the audience have lost money. But what do? We don't sulk for life. We pick up the pieces, we move forward, then we will start to be in a position to try and recover what we lost. So yes, mistakes happen, and they happen, we learn from them, then we pick up the pieces and get to work. All right, I'll move here. Record keeping, that's very important, right? Mainly, just to mention the few reasons here, for accounting purposes, profitability analysis, and the tax purposes that I've mentioned, among other reasons. No matter how small a business is, it's good to keep the numbers so that you see where you're coming from and where you are going. The challenge with most small businesses, they are being run hand to mouth, right? Remember, income made from the business is not yours. In business, we say we're dealing with two people here. The business on its own is a person, and yourself as an individual, you are a person. The business is what we call a juristic person, and yourself, you're a natural person. So by the moment that natural person goes to take money from that juristic person without following proper channels, you are stealing. The question becomes, how can I steal from my own business? It's mine after all. No, there are only two, if I may say, three ways in which you can get money from your business. That's salary, dividend, and maybe allowances, right? Any other means that there is no sugar home, then we just take from the business. That's not the proper way to run a business. So keep the numbers, run the finances properly. That way you'll be able to track where you're coming from and where you are going, right? We're talking of SMMEs, right, which will grow into fully fledged business. By the way, SMMEs here in South Africa, I think, and in Africa at large, they contribute to plus or minus 40% of employment, right? So that cannot be undermined, right? Those 2, 3, 4, 10 people you have employed, you are helping to put bread on their table. So if you poorly run the business and you close down, you have taken food from someone's mouth due to your negligence, failure to run a business, right? So think of that. Don't think for yourself only, so that you manage your business properly. When you fail to run that business, that means you have failed those 15, 20 people you are employing. All right, I will move on here. There are small businesses that fail, and statistically they say within 2 years, over 60% of small businesses fail. Let me pose a question here. I think the chat box is open. What is the main cause of SMME failure? Please just throw your answers in the chat box that we just see. What are the reasons why the SMMEs fail? And you say statistically, they say after 2 years you've made it, but also take note that some people look at those statistics to say, if I made it just to surpass 2 years, I'm good, I'm gone. Then those issues that we mentioned earlier on start to kick in. Then you sink your business in the 3rd or 4th year, right? All right, I see a question there that says, is it live or live within your means? I think I had a spelling error there. My apologies. That must be L-I-V-A, within your means. Thank you for posing that question, which is a corrective question. All right, I'm looking at my response here. Lack of consistency, lack of proper financial management, consumption of capital, Right, that's in response to my questions there. Please keep them coming. What may be the other reasons why small businesses fail, small, medium enterprises? What are the causes of failure? Someone has failed here. If you have failed here, please share with us experience, yeah? So that we won't follow the same. I always, when I'm advising people to get into business, as I indicated, I'm a certified business advisor. I always say, this mistake, I made it for you. Don't make it, right? So please, you have made the mistake yourself. You have made it for us. If you have made that mistake, please share with us. As I indicated, I'm always sharing the mistakes that I made. I don't share success stories only when I'm advising. I share the mistakes, and that's why I'm saying, I would always say, this one, I made it for you. I would have made it for myself, yes, I know, and it's me, Winke the loss, but I made it for you literally means do not make the same, because I'm already telling you. Lack of sound financial decision, thinking one has arrived, thank you. Then consuming into a business you are not actually good at, consuming the profit, not reinvesting, the list goes on. All right, we have quite scholarly responses there, right? So these are experiences that are being shared. Poor bookkeeping, impulse buying. Yeah, that one can be very tricky. Impulse buying, be it from a business or on perspective. Yes, stealing. Well, not stealing, whether it's theft, embezzlement by employees or yourself. Stealing from your business, as I said, you are a natural person who is going to steal from a juristic person. Poor customer service, going into a venture I have no understanding about, knowledge of. That means you've not done any research. Lack of marketing. Thank you for all the responses. All right, I will move on. Right, yes, you may fall. We don't want to say you fell, right? They say you fall and you rise. In the army, they say you lose a battle. Losing a battle does not mean you have lost the war, right? Even in the middle of the battle, you can retreat. When you are retreating, it does not mean you have lost the battle. You retreat and re-strategize, right? I'm sure we have heard of the popular Chaka the Zulu, right? A warrior from here in South Africa, right? During Shaka's army, if you would find a warrior, a soldier with a wound in the back, he would kill you. That shows you were running away. You were not retreating. If you have a wound on your chest in the stomach, you'd be a hero. If you die, you'd be given a hero burial because you were in the battle, right? So you retreat, you don't run away. So in the event that you lose those millions, right? Still, you pick up the pieces, as we said. So never give up. These are some of the reasons why people give up. So we would want to do the same. Expect the fast results. I gave an example already on Dangote here that is say invest today, you want to be like me tomorrow. That's why now you find some entrepreneurs, they invest after 3 months, they have those big billion tenders. After the other 3 months, they are in court. After the other 3 months, you are visiting them in prison. Right? It's because we want fast results. Be patient, go the legit way, your time shall come. Some will just feel, I can't do it. Stop believing in themselves. That's to do with the ego. Get stuck in the past. Remember, I said, learn from those mistakes. It's not like you sulk for the rest of your life. Don't dwell on the mistakes. Don't fear the unknown, right? Fear the future. You don't know what the future holds, but you are afraid of what you don't know, what you have never seen. And some resist change. Change is good, and we have to implement change time and again. Some give up their power, believe in their weaknesses rather than strength, feel the world owes them something, right? Eventually, you cannot go anywhere because you are carrying that burden of the whole world, right? Fear failure more than desire success. Never visualize what is possible. feel they have something to lose, overwork, right? Manage your time, right? Yes, there may be time for overworking, especially when you are starting a new business, because you are not able to employ many people to help you in the work. So that time there may be a lot of overwork, but during that time, set up systems, set up a model so that in the time to come, you will not be overworking. Some assume their problems are unique. We would want to know what type of a problem is unique, which does not occur to anyone. Then you see failure as the signal to turn back. Remember, we said you retreat. You fall, you rise. Losing a battle does not mean you have lost the war. Then some just feel sorry for themselves. All right, I'll move on to a different spectrum. I'll be a bit faster for the sake of time. All right, sales, marketing, and customer care, right? From one of the responses why businesses fail, right? One response was saying getting into what you don't know, right? You have to conduct a research prior to venturing into a business, right? In business, we sell what customers want. We don't sell what we want to sell. I'm sure you're getting me clearly here. Yes, you may have a passion to sell a particular product, but if it is on demand, you are destined to sink because we sell what customers want. How do we know that? We know that through research. When we launch a product, we have to position the product. What we term product position, that aspect which you create in the customer's mind about your product. Whenever they think of your product, right, what comes into their mind, right? Quality, cheap, right? Associated with what type of people and the like is how you position your product. And you must always have what we call a unique selling proposition, something that is unique as compared to the competitors that you must come up with for your business. We don't follow the crowd. We have to have our own USP, right? We know we have a bad, I forgot that. What do we call funya in English, Tafazo? That bird that just flows randomly.
I can't remember the English.
Yeah, you know, there are some of these things that might not have a non-English name. Those are italicized when it is in English book. Anyway, I think you may know that of bird. When the wind comes going west, it goes west with the wind. If the wind is changing suddenly, it goes east, there goes the bird, right? But we have an eagle. When the storm comes, it flips up its wings and go above the storm and settles on top of the storm, right? It's outstanding on its own. I love that bird, right? It's a very exemplary bird. It stands on what it believes. All right, let me move on. Pardon my error there. Okay, a competitive advantage makes you tick. It makes you be a cut above the rest. It makes you stand out. Remember, you are not the only one that sells that particular product. Unless if you're an inventor, you're going to come up with something that does not exist. But remember, if you invent an app, there are many apps, right? The only difference is that you invented yours. But there must be that uniqueness, a competitive advantage that will make customers prefer yours. I see a question that says, what is USP there? From Christine. Christine is what I just mentioned, that's a unique selling proposition, which I explained earlier on. All right, I'll proceed. Right, customer relationship management, popularly known as CRM, right? When a customer buys, that's not the end of it. We don't operate businesses like taxi drivers. By the way, they say taxi drivers are the same. I've been, I think, to about 30 or so countries that I've traveled to. And the behavior I've seen with most taxi drivers is the same as I see in my home country here as well. So if they see a passenger behind who is like 50 meters, they will reverse and go and pick up that passenger. The moment you are in the tax, they no longer care about you. Remember, in there, you are going to pay. So you are no longer important. Before you even sit down, they're already taking off. You fall down and find your seat there, then that's it. And while you are down there, they are already asking for their money, right? In business, we keep a relationship. The customer who bought yesterday remains valuable. Remember, he's going to refer word of mouth, right? And we still want to keep in touch with him because you bring us business. It's either he's a repeat customer or maybe she'll bring us more clientele. So we stay in touch. We offer after-sales service, right? Maybe you are selling equipment. You would want to follow up if the equipment is operating well at your own cost. Product promotions, in the event that the product is not operating as expected, right? You would have to see what is the problem, take back that product, give a better product, right? If a complaint is raised, do not stonewall. What we call stonewalling is to be quick to defend yourself that my product was good. No, you cannot say that. We listen to what customer says for the sake of future business. We have to create relationships. Remember, I said we don't operate like taxi drivers, right? If there be any promotions, maintain a database where you'll be communicating to your clientele. All right, I will proceed. When you give promises, deliver on promises, right? I said my background is the most service sensitive. In the hospitality industry, if you're at the front desk, if a guest calls from room 108 and say, my light is not working, you inform the maintenance department to go and fix the light. After 20 minutes, you call the guest, even if you know that maintenance have been in that room to fix the light, you still call and say, madam, have your light been fixed, right? Are you happy? Anything I can help with, right? If you say, I will call you back, right, at 10, right, ensure you do. The moment you say you call back at 10, you have failed to deliver a promise, and to me, you have lied to me, right? I always have a fight with the call centers. When call center says, I will tell this department to give you a call, me, I always say no. Transfer me to them, I speak to them. Sometimes they say it's back office, we cannot transfer the calls, right? I'll request the name, the number, the email, then I'll get back to them. It's a bad reputation. I would not want to mention the companies, organizations that I know, and they promise that we will call you back. They don't. And I always tell, I know you guys lie, you won't call me back, right? When you are giving information, be exhaustive, always give all the necessary information, right? Yes, it's a product, but it's good that you inform what are the pros and cons of that product, right? On the medication, as much as it heals, they will show you, what do you call them, Tafadzwa, the side effects, right? Mm-hmm. The medication, yes, will cure, as in Cure, but they show the side effects, right? Mm-hmm. That is very important. Yes, it's required by the medical council, but it's part of the honest that is required in business. So do the same for your product. Don't let the customer come back complaining about this and that. Obviously, your product will be having more pros as compared to the cons, and you hardly find a product that has no those cons. Water is good, but drink 5 liters and see what happens. Are you getting my point there? Our staple food, you call it sadza, pap, whatever, it's good, right? But consume it maybe to 3 kg or so and see what happens, right? Those are what can always be add out as far as your product or service is concerned. Right? Ethics is very important in business, right? I always boast, and I can boast again today to say, from Cape to Cairo, which is down here, Cape Town to Egypt, you will not find someone who complains that I owe him or money, right? That's very important as far as ethics is concerned. if I borrow, right, and promise to give you on the 25th, if 25th I am not going to make it, I'll call you on the 22nd to ask you for a postponement. That is ethics in business. The moment your business is known of being unethical, you have affected what we call brand integrity. You'll be known as a company of liars, a company of bad products, a dubious company. Nowadays, there is social media. It takes us 2 minutes to make sure that 1 million people knows about what you are doing. So please maintain brand integrity in your business. Today, it's a $500 business with brand integrity on its own. Tomorrow, it's a $5 million business. And the opposite is true. From a $500 to a zero business due to violation of brand integrity. So do the right thing, right? Be aware of others' feelings, whichever stakeholders, be it customers, etc., etc. It's very important to be aware of their feelings. Right, the business model, clearly define them, right? We have one bank, which is actually one of the bigger banks here, popular known the Capitec Bank. Tafadza, you know how I'm passionate about them. Their business model, when they come into the industry, they caught the popularly known as the Big Four in South Africa. They were caught asleep. I would not want to use the phrase we use here, Tafadza, right? So they were caught asleep. So Capitec, when they came in, they came with a motto called simplified banking, right? Low-cost banking. So the Big Four ignored their model, thinking that this is a bank for the poor because their products are cheap and their pricing is cheap. Within no time, they've already placed themselves in the Big Four, which means they've already displaced one, right? They managed to position their product well, and they have that good business approach. And they say sophistication is they say what? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, rather. How can simplicity be sophistication, right? We expect something that is complex to be sophisticated, but then they say simplified banking. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So they took their product, price, place, promotion, which are the 4 Ps, crafted a very good model, produced and positioned their product, their banking product very well, which led to a vibrant business approach. One very important aspect, responsiveness, right? Don't reply emails after 4 days. You are not the only one who is selling that product. The moment you send me an email and I don't have a response after an hour, I will go to your competitor, the guy down next door, right? If I try to call you, you saw a missed call, how can you not return a business call? Yes, you may be in a meeting, but after that, you return a business call. That's part of responsiveness. Remember, if you don't return, I will go and give that $1 million business to your competitor, right? So be timely. We mentioned the issue of delivering on promises, and where information is needed, be detailed. Don't let the customer come 10 times. If you ask the 2 questions, answer those 2 questions plus other questions that have not been asked, and always go an extra mile. So these are just general tips that looks like they're easy to practice in business, but the moment you are there, we've seen plenty of business violating it. You are already in business, someone who is on this audience, right? But you may not be practicing this. So it's very important that we practice this. Okay, I'm looking at my chart there. I'll repeat. What are the 4 Ps? The 4 Ps, I said the product, which is what you are selling. P number 2, that's the price. P number 3, that's the place, popularly also known as distribution, the place. Then number 4, the promotion. So those are the 4 Ps. I've seen 2 charts requesting me to repeat the 4 Ps, right? It's a totally topic on its own to explain and model the 4 Ps on their own. So I'm not going to dwell on that now for the sake of our time. Resilience, resilience, resilience. There will always be challenges in business. As I say, it's not as rosy as it is put across. So don't wake up tomorrow and say, I give up. Be resilient. Respect. You deal with plenty of stakeholders. I gave customers and competitors here, right? Treat them with respect. Directly promote your product. Don't badmouth competitors. If you badmouth competitors while promoting your product, that means there is something wrong with your product. Why don't you just sell your own product, right? And also take note, you may end up being sued, right? There was controversy some years back when Coca-Cola was advertising their product. They would advertise with a short man who wanted to reach a Coke which was somewhere up there. So that short man took a can of Pepsi and put down. Then he stepped on a can of Pepsi. Then he reached for the Coke and started drinking, right? That was not a good advert. So sell your product. You know the features. Remember, you have a USP. Don't badmouth the guy who is also selling the same product down there, right? If you have your orchard of oranges, explain the sweetness, the quality, the vitamins. Don't talk bad. Yes, the guy down the street may have sour oranges. Leave that, right? Sell your own sweet oranges on your own. All right, as I went up, the various marketing platforms, this can also form a topic on its own, which is marketing advertising specifically. These are some of the platforms. But remember, while you are starting, you may not have the budget, and don't go extravagant. You end up spending more than what you would have budgeted. Social media is mostly free. It costs nothing to put on your status on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, right? Though there may be paid ads, but social media is normally free. Direct mailing is free, right? You can do that. You may need to pay for others, right? But if you have the budget, you have grown, it's wise to make use of that, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, for now, I thank you for attention. I will give Tafazo exactly 28 minutes for his next presentation. He stole part of my time. He stole, I think, 9 minutes. So I'm just taking away 2 minutes from him, but he owes me. Thank you for attention. I'll be back after Tafazo.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm quickly just trying to load my slides again. Okay. Okay, I'm just moving forward my slides. So, seeing that it's now starting from the beginning. I just want to continue from where we left. But as I'm doing that, I'll just have a small recap of what we spoke about. We were saying when you start your business, it's always advantageous to have some kind of plan. And I indicated that research shows that businesses that have got some kind of planning, some kind of documentations have been seen to be generally more successful than compared to businesses that have no documentation at all. It becomes particularly important when you use some of the business tools that we are advocating for. And like I said in my last session, that the balance scorecard is the most successful business tool that is there out there at two levels. The first one being it guides the process of coming up with business objectives. I spoke about the 4 perspectives. So you are going to pack your objectives into those 4 perspectives. Now, the last part of the business plan, which is probably the most important one, according to me, are the strategic initiatives. The strategic initiatives are projects, really. Now you have got a business, you've got business objectives, and you now want to operationalize those objectives. I shared with you the objectives in the previous session, although I was now in a hurry, but you will see that the strategic initiatives combine at least one of the objectives into one initiative. I'll use the one that's on the screen right now, which is strategic initiative number 1. And you, by the way, you can't have many of these initiatives. You can have a maximum of 5, but generally you need between 3 and 5. So our first one in the case study that I'm walking you through is to have an awareness campaign where you are making your business known out there, okay? And I coupled that awareness campaign with prototyping and simulation. And you'll find that this initiative has got 6 business objectives that it impacts, okay? Since we went through the objectives in a hurry, I'll quickly go through the objectives. So this particular initiative will have an impact of achieving and maintaining outstanding customer service. It will have an impact on agile management. It will have an impact in fostering creativity and innovation, in business growth, in achieving increased profit. Now, what you then need is to have sub-initiatives that are timed. Okay, so now these are the physical activities that you are actually going to do in order that you achieve both the objectives and the initiative. So what we decided to do is to go for branding. We decided that we were going to engage somebody who's going to do our corporate ID. We gave that sub-initiative an owner, the one that would oversee the sub-initiative, and we put in place timelines. So this was supposed, this started on the 10th of August. This is actually a new project that I'm discussing with you. And we also applied a point of sale machine. We also had to establish a command center. This is where the admin would be to take calls or to receive the WhatsApp messages. We're using WhatsApp web, and then also to deal with the text messages. And then we're also meant to distribute flyers and so on and so on. Now, what I'm saying here is your initiative should speak to whatever objective that you have. And it's always better to have fewer initiatives that cover as many objectives as possible. And in coming up with these initiatives, it also becomes very important to look at your strategic initiatives, your strategic priorities, because these initiatives are the ones that bring the objectives and the priorities to life, okay? So our second initiative was to create a catalog. We had a problem with the big grocery shops because they did not want to share with us their price lists or their price catalogs, because I think they were thinking that we are probably from competition. So what we then decided to do was to come up with, to physically go to the shops and actually record the prices for ourselves. We were afraid now that when the customer would call us to say, we want a loaf of bread, we want milk, we want eggs, we would not be in a position to know how much that would cost. Because what we needed to do was to give the client a rough estimate of how much it would cost. We would actually go and buy the grocery items using our money, and then would then be reimbursed upon delivery of these grocery items, including now the delivery fee. So this is how we were actually making our, this is actually how we make our money from this project. But then there is always a danger that as the client is sending you to go and get these things, as it were, there is always a danger that you get in the shops and there's 10 brands of eggs, even eggs have different brands. There's 10 brands of detergents and whatnot. So there is a continuous need to update a product catalog. So we made this a self-standing initiative, and that had an owner, and it's an ongoing process because products are always changing and so on and so on. The other initiative was financial control, which is very important. In Privilege spoke about maintaining an accounting system. So this initiative involved appraising a few accounting systems and choosing the best one. And on that point, I would also like to point out that an accounting system, I would also want to emphasize that an accounting system is very important for the reasons that have been spoken about earlier on. But under this initiative, because I'm dealing with people that are not necessarily from finance, I needed to school them on risk control, financial risk control, and so on. Something that I do a lot here at ATI, and something that you might be actually also interested in, which is risk management and risk-based internal auditing. Initiative number 4 was to look at how we grow. Remember, we were starting by having a prototype for 6 months and using that prototype or replicating the gains or the lessons or the experiences from that prototype to enter into other categories, to enter into other areas, into other residentials. So I stay in a residential that is called Mooikloof Estate. It's a very big estate with 22 complexes inside. So what we decided to do was to use this as a learning platform, and whatever lessons we draw from them, then we would take to neighboring estates and complexes, growing at a rate of 1 complex per week. So that was an initiative on its own, and that's why you find that there is no end date for that initiative. It's an ever-growing thing. You'd also find out that we decided to start with 1 motorcycle and to be adding 1 extra motorcycle per month, so as to satisfy this expansion initiative. Right. Then the other initiative that we spoke about, that we engaged in, was agile management and Kaizen. But this initiative was really to take care of educating my team members about what these things are, what they entail, and how they help us as a business. Now, in line with this initiative, I think I would also encourage you in your own spaces to research on agile management. What it essentially does is that, and this is also important as you are running your businesses, every day there is some form of feedback that you receive, either from observation or from feedback mechanisms that you have put into your business and so on. So every day, if you are more than one in this business that you are in, or in this business that you want to embark in, every day spare 15 minutes, particularly in the morning, to reflect on what you're doing right and make it better, but more so what you're not doing right and how you can improve upon that. So every day you need 15-minute meetings. They call them Scrum meetings in agile terminology. And then with particular regard to Kaizen, if we go into a little bit more detail about Kaizen, is that you need to look at one aspect of your business, usually the core aspect, and look at ways that you can continuously improve it all the time. So with this particular initiative, it was more of a training initiative, and you can, as you can see there, I'm the owner of that initiative. So I was the one that was driving that initiative, so that my fellow teammates can have an understanding of what was happening. Okay, so initiatives are really projects, like just like with any project, it has got a start date and an end date. We've got a project owner, we've got a project initiator, and so on. So these are the things. Initiatives are what put your objective into light. The other thing that I forgot to mention, which is important, is that all of the objectives should be covered within some of the initiatives. And whilst on that, I can also mention that an objective can be found within more than one initiative. Okay. Right. Now, having said that, we now have a summary sort of the strategy using the balanced scorecard. You can see that there are the 4 perspectives, and this summary illustrates how the different objectives feed into each other in such a way that eventually will maximize on the profits. So we are saying that being innovative in your project and being agile and being innovative and being creative, combined with giving yourselves learning opportunities about your business. It's called experiential learning, and having knowledge about how the balanced scorecard works will aid to your internal processes and will aid to processes that are agile, will aid to making alliances with other businesses, and will, at the end of the day, aid in performance management that we'll be looking at in more detail shortly. And all that will improve customer satisfaction and will improve customer retention, and that in itself will ensure that you are actually getting a profit out of your business. I like the balanced scorecard perspectives because it gives a view to strategy that is clearer than most of the other tools that you get out there. So what you see there is the strategy map, was actually the strategy that we are trying to see through. The nice thing there is that everything that you see there, you are going to see in the next in the next few minutes, can actually be measured, and you can then see if your strategy is being successful or not. Right. While Privilege was doing his presentation, I shared with you a number of documents, and if I could draw your attention to the document that is referred to as BSc DL case study. So that's the balanced scorecard for the company delivery logistics, and that's the case study that we are going to look at. If you are having problems downloading it or whatever the case might be, you don't have to worry, because I'm going to share my screen with you in such a way that you are going to see it from my side. So there you go. So this is a tool that was developed by a company that is called IntraFocus. IntraFocus is the only company that has been authorized by the balanced scorecard, by the developers or the designers of the balanced scorecard, to come up with a software that does the measuring. So we've looked at the planning side of the balanced scorecard. So now let's look at the measurement side of this. So as you can see from the on screen there, the 4 perspectives are there. So that is that is the dashboard that gives you, that tells you if you are on track with all the 4 perspectives. As you can see from that dashboard, we are almost on track, as a summary view, we're almost on track with the financial perspectives, customer perspective, and I did not put data for the internal perspective and the learning and growth. Right, the next screen that I'm taking you to, that is the strategy map. This software automatically develops the strategy map for you, but you can also then change the arrows so that they look like how you actually want your strategy to be realized. Right, let me come here. Now, what then happens is the objectives that I was dealing with in the PowerPoint in my previous section have now been summarized. They have now been summarized on this screen. Let me just make it bigger so that you can see properly. Right. So our strategic objective, if you remember, were number 1, to increase profit, number 2, to have financial control under the financial perspective. So you will see that each objective now has got to have some measurement matrix attached to it. This is the beauty of the balanced scorecard, because you need, it forces you to have a mechanism to measure your performance. So this is the metrics that you've put for yourself. I put for myself a metrics that each bike that I'm putting out there would earn a revenue of 12,000 Rand a month. And I am the owner of that metrics. So if you come up here, there are actuals and there's a target. Maybe let's start with the targets before we go to the actuals. So the target is to make 12,000 Rand in revenue monthly. The target is to increase return on investment on a monthly basis by percentages that I put up there. So we want to have a return on investment at 25% every month. The third measurement matrix is to increase the plus sign here. As you can see, it can be a plus sign or a minus sign. So the plus sign actually indicates that we are intending to be increasing these measures as a mechanism of achieving that increased profit. Same thing for financial control, right? The matrix that I put there is that we need to ensure that our financial risks are below risk appetite, and I said risk appetite at 95%, something that you are going to be familiar with as you research more on risk management. Under the customer perspective, we want to increase customer retention by looking at the number of repeat clients in a month, by looking at the average time that we take to respond to messages, and so on and so on and so on. I've shared with you this case study, this precise one. I've also shared with you a blank template that you can use for your own entrepreneurial project. I have shared with you a third of this balanced scorecard, one with dummy data that came directly from IntraFocus. You put all your objectives here, all the objectives that we dealt with there, and with these you can either remove them or you can add them as you wish, and then what you have here to the right, are the targets that you want to reach. So I've put in dummy data for the purposes of this presentation. Then what it does now, on a monthly basis, you have to now feed in the actuals. So these are figures that I've just put in, like you can see there. I can put in any figure. But these are figures that you are actually taking out of your business, right? Now, when you have put in those targets and eventually you put in the actuals, now you can then go into the actual perspective. As you can see, this is the financial perspectives, and it tells you whether you are on course or not in terms of your finances. In terms of the measurement criteria, that you have designed for yourself. Same thing as the customer perspective, right? You are able to see with regards to each and every one of the objectives that you put. It tells you how well you are faring there. Internal process is the same, and it does that with each and every matrix that you have put for yourself. And then the last one is learning on growth. And then if we go back home here, it gives you an overall view of how the objectives are doing. So this is a tool that I've put for you, and you are free to use that tool. You are free to use that tool for your own dummy data. Let me just quickly go back to my slides. Okay, I'm sure on the next slide, what you're going to find is the financials, which is where I'm going to end. Privilege, I'm turning on the other screens. Can you just check for me how many minutes I'm left with?
You have 6 minutes.
Come again?
You have 5 minutes left. You can wait.
Oh, okay, fine. So I'm going to close my segment by talking a little bit about management accounting. Management accounting is a branch of accounting that looks at internal management reporting. So it is the branch of accounting that looks at how you are going to price your products and what your offering is going to cost. Now, this is best done in Excel, but you need to be relatively conversant with Excel to be able to manipulate these. So what you need are operating assumptions. In our model, all these are assumptions that are used to generate profit data. So you'll find that if I change any of the assumptions, like here, deliveries per day, you'll find that it was at 10, and if we assume it to be at 20, and at 20 there, you'll find that all the data that is in there, it changes. In such a way that it tells you the profitability at the different assumptions that you're going to be having. The driver gets 30% of the delivery cost. You can put the delivery cost there. And this thing was developed by us to try and look at how profitable you need to be. Before you start any business, you need to be able to be in a position to be able to project your financials to see if there is going to be financial sustainability at the end of the day. I'm also going to share this screen with you so that you can also take a look at the formulas that we have used there in such a way that you can also develop your own, and in such a way that you can also use that as a rough guide when doing your own projections. I think I'm going to end here, and I'm going to leave Privileges 2 minutes like he asked. Okay.
All right, thank you, Tahadza. Right, before I just wind up, I've also seen some messages in the chat box. Some have provided emails. Please note that these documents are being shared. If you check on the right bottom of your screen, you'll be able to download the files that Tahadza is sharing. So it's not like they are coming by email. Please just have a look at the bottom of your screen. On the right bottom of your screen, you see the documents. So you just download them. I hope you are seeing them. Then I've also seen some few comments requesting the presentation. Please be informed that this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, which you give later on. All right, so for now, I'm just going to close by just sharing you some information from a marketing perspective of our own courses that we do. These are the 2 programs that we offer. We do have online courses, which you can enroll for. I think you are seeing the offers that were being thrown here and there. And also contact or face-to-face programs. So we are based here in South Africa. That's our head office. We have offices in East Africa, Rwanda, and just across Limpopo in Harare. We do organize trainings in our satellite programs, which you can see on the screen there. So if you would like to join us, those are the trainings centers where we organize our trainings. We can have a group that says we want to be hosted in Mauritius or wherever. We go where our clients want us to host them. So these are our fees for our contact programs, and that's what it covers. We pick our delegates from the airport, the training materials, excursions. When you come to South Africa, you always give you time to move around. We provide transport to visit the popular places, Sun City, maybe you've all seen Mr. Bones. The popular place is Soweto, Mandela House. We take our delegates there. Then lunch and teas is offered during your training. And we offer support tools, a laptop or a tablet to our delegates, so that's all at no extra cost. Then also for online courses, just some information. Once fees paid, registered, the study material will be emailed within 14 days. Then the live support contact sessions will be done Mondays to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thereafter, a certificate of completion will be couriered to the delegates within 3 weeks. Then those are the fees for online courses, which covers training material and the certificate of completion. Those are the three aspects that are covered there. Then for bookings, please contact us. These are our website there, which you can just get in and look for more information about the programs. Then you can drop us an email, WhatsApp, or you can call us. Then we are also available on different social networks. You can visit our website for more information. So from me, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for being part of this webinar. I would like to thank Tafi for the presentation. I hope you have enjoyed the presentation. So the documents, again, I'm seeing comments. Please have a look. The documents are sharing as you speak. Please check. You just click and download. I see many people have already typing, I downloaded, and some are sending emails. Please note, it's not going to be shared via email. You will download them and you are still sharing those documents. Okay, we are seeing some comments, great presentation, or some comes with a wow. Thank you very much for that, for those comments that we have given a good presentation. We appreciate that, and please join us in our next webinar. We always host these webinars at least once a month. More information is always available on our website as far as the webinars are concerned. Let me just throw in our website. You can see it on the screens. That's the website. Right, and it's actually .cosa. Ignore the earlier one. I'm going to send the correct one in the chat box, which you can always visit to book for our future webinars. All right, so from me, ladies and gentlemen, from where you have been listening from, I've seen the numbers increased more and more. We had people from Malawi, Ghana, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Eswatini. The list goes and on, but all the regions of Africa, we've been having representatives. Again, I will respond as far as the information regarding this presentation is concerned. If you go to our website, which is www.africantraining.co.za, you find a link to our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube channel, you'll find this presentation. I trust you have all managed to download, and we appreciate you. Botswana, Uganda, and I see all the African languages here, and some Swahili, which I'm not good at, but I know Asante Sana there. Thank you very much. Tinotita Siawonga. Thank you for being with us. You have a nice day. till we meet again. May God bless you. Thank you. Anything from you, Father, before you wind out, you can just maybe have some few closing words. We thank you for the presentation, and thanks to our moderator, Matume, who is behind the scenes. We appreciate him. Thank you, Tafazo.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the nice comments that I'm also reading there to my right. Oh yeah, by the way, you will find that on the Excel files, there are lots of formulas that go in there. It's at ATI. We also offer a course in Excel at various levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced. You might also consider coming to do that one, as you find that Excel is very important both in your areas of work, but in your personal endeavors. In coming up with a budget for the household. So Excel really offers some life skills. I enjoy using it a lot. I think on that note, I'll end it there, and bye everyone. Thanks again.
All right, thank you very much. And Sydney Kamtukura, thank you for educating me there. Thank you. It's Zikomo in Chichewa, I think. Well, till we meet again, may God be with you, and please stay safe in this period. Sanitize, take all the necessary precautions, wear your mask, social distance. We need each other. Thank you. Obrigado.